I am a little bit late to this one, but I love to hate this guy. And really, I don't think it's ever too late to cover somebody crying about donos, begging for donos, anything along those lines. Here we have failed Vosh experiment Xander Hall. And really being a failed Vosh experiment, that's rough because Vosh is not exactly a successful experiment. In terms of money, he still does all right, but that's about it. Anyway, here you'll see an hour and 15 minutes into his stream, the quail slash onesie goal is still at $0. And if you're not sure what a quail slash onesie goal means, this is an aspiring quail farmer that we're looking at. This is a persistent thing that he's working towards, supposedly. That one day he's gonna have some quails and farm them. And then the onesie, I'm guessing he's just gonna put on a dumb outfit if he gets some money. But hour and 15 minutes into the stream, and he's still at 0.
Don't worry, I'm doing a whole segment about it today. Anyway, thank you for the $5, Delancer. I appreciate it. Very kind of you.
Okay, resolve that. It's not a 0 anymore.
We have made $5 so far this stream. Hey guys, what other streamers are you all donating your money to? What the fuck? I'm just joking.
That was the least convincing laugh I think I've heard ever, outside of people making intentionally fake sounding laughs.
Hey guys, what other streamers are you all donating your money to? What the fuck? I'm just joking. Are you all donating your money to? What the fuck? I'm just joking.
Yeah, I mean, sure, that might not have been 100% serious, but I think you did feel a little bit of that for real. Being an hour and 15 minutes into your stream and having made $5 when you do this for a living is pretty rough. That's not really a great hourly rate.
Birth control is probably on the chopping block as soon as they can. Oh, for sure. Birth control, abortions. $5 a month! $5 a month. No, listen, Wingo's always coming in.
I think he's doing an impression of that is it Bad Bunny. I think she goes by Kira now, or Kira Chats, maybe something like that. Don't let her get away with it with her name and change, all right? That clip is still the most famous thing about her, and it always it always should be. How awful. I do think that's why she changed her name, because her reputation was so awful. She was just truly known as the $5 a month girl.
Clutch. Wingo donates every stream. Wingo's goated. We love Wingo. Shout out to Wingo. Trump already admitted he would go after hospitals that have endocrinologists as part of the anti-trans tantrum. Yep. Indeed, indeed. The only streamer I donate money to is Zan, based. Now, in all seriousness, though, I think it's important to recognize where the left is also at a disadvantage in that what group, what fundamentally is the group advocating for, and to? Like, what audience would a progressive figure be generally appealing to on a natural level, just by default? The disenfranchised. Like, across the board, just the disenfranchised. People who don't tend to have a lot of extra money, right? And so with the right, whose entire thing is defending the interests of the wealthy and the powerful, they have the support of the wealthy and the powerful. We do not. And
Is he saying that because he's a lefty, he doesn't have any billionaires in his chat to donate to him, and that's why he's only made $5 an hour so far? I mean, this is quite there are a lot of people on the left that make a lot of money live streaming. I don't think I don't think this is your problem, Xander Hall.
Even in regards to grassroots support, we have the grassroots support of people who don't really have a lot of extra income to supply grassroots support. And so that's why I think, man, I hope the left can actually rival the right's misinformation machine they've built. I am genuinely skeptical that we can, though. I'm genuinely skeptical that even algorithmically we can. But hey, it's totally free to leave a like, so I highly recommend.
And now he's saying, I don't know if the left can even compete algorithmically. Or is it your channel, maybe, right? That's it's not getting picked up in the algorithm the way it used to. I remember Kyle Kalinske of Secular Talk. He was doing this cope back in the day. It was when he was, I think, just shy of 1 million, or maybe he even fell below. I can't remember exactly where it was, but he was growing very, very slowly and losing subs at one point while he was right around 1 million subs. And he was coping about, oh yeah, YouTube's just deprioritizing non-mainstream media news. But I mean, now look at his channel. He's at like 1.5 million. The last 2 years or so, he's been doing very well, and I think he's about to pass Jimmy Dore, or he already did, maybe very close, and probably Majority Report too. Sam Cedar, I would imagine, if he hasn't already. But he changed things up. He changed things up, and now the channel's doing better. He was coping before, right? Like not to say that YouTube wasn't doing anything to promote mainstream news more or whatever, but it wasn't as if all alternative media was suppressed. He wasn't playing the game as well as other people were at the time. But he figured it out, and now he's doing well. That's what you need to do, Xander Hall. You need to figure out, why am I not getting the channel growth, the viewership, the revenue that I was before? What can I do to get more?
Recommend you do that. Nick D, thank you for the $10 donation. I really appreciate that. Very kind of you. Says, I've been giving Westside Tyler most of my money. Makes sense, makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, Westside Tyler is definitely more entertaining than Xander Hall. He's very annoying though. He always does impressions, and the impressions are fine. They could be funny, but he just goes on and on and on and runs every single joke that he does into the ground. And it makes me want to bash my head into the wall pretty much every time I try to listen to one of his videos. But still, makes more sense to donate to him than to Xanderhal.
Makes sense. There's gonna be more streamers entering the space. Urgh.
Oh yeah, I think he's a little bit, because Westside Tyler's pretty new. I think he's only been doing it for a year or two, and I think he's coming up on like 15,000 subs, so very solid. Probably more growth than Xander Hall has seen in that time, almost certainly.
The left has its own misinfo machine. It's named Hassan. Yeah, it is shitty that, like, the most successful progressive figures are all misinfo merchants, too. Yeah. True, the bunny treat donation incentive is crazy. True. True, 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 true. TSW the Shadow Wolf. Yeah. I will
Do you have a pet bunny, or what? What does that mean?
say, ever since Trump got elected, or ever since the Trump election went through, I've noticed that stream donos have gotten so low that I've had to order less groceries. Like, legitimately. That's not even a joke, and I'm not complaining. It is what it is. You guys have less money or are saving for the impact on the economy. But I've actively...
I mean, why you just say this so plainly? That's insane.
Yeah. I will say, ever since Trump got elected, or ever since the Trump election went through, I've noticed that stream donos have gotten so low that I've had to order less groceries. Like, legitimately. That's not even a joke, and I'm not complaining. It is what it is. You guys have less money or are saving for the impact on the economy. But I've actively noticed it so much. I'm like,
You're not motivating people to donate, Xanderhal. You're just you got some decent growth and viewership as part of like the BreadTube wave, but that's not really popping anymore. So you got to find a new sort of niche to to get growth out of. And you would think once Trump gets elected, that would be good for the lefties because now they're like the opposition, and you'd think it would help his channel. But he says no, not at all. Since Trump's been elected, I've had to cut back on groceries.
I'm gonna buy less groceries this time around. I can't afford what I used to, cause you know, it's just YouTube ad rev. You gotta wait for those checks now. Oh my God, Zan, that sucks. Yeah, it sucks, but income is wild as a YouTuber. It fluctuates massively, and as I said, it is a much higher bar to reach financial stability as a progressive figure. It is harder to reach financial stability doing what I do than it is to become a millionaire being a right-wing figure. By now, if I
So he's saying subsisting as a lefty content creator is harder than becoming a millionaire right wing content creator. I mean, what, how, there's no way you possibly believe that. There is no way. That is an absurd excuse.
um as I said, it is a much higher bar to reach financial stability as a progressive figure. It is harder to reach financial stability doing what I do than it is to become a millionaire being a right-wing figure. By now, if I had put in the amount of work and like the time, the amount of videos, the everything that I put into this channel as a conservative grifter, I'd be a millionaire right now. At least the channel is blowing up. It is.
I mean, Xander, you're more principled than me. If I really believed it was that easy to grift $1 million doing right wing uh political content, I would just do that, right? Like, I'm not saying that it's not easier to do right wing content creation than left wing, but it is the difference is nowhere near that stark.
It is. It's just rough because, you know, you gotta wait months. It's 1 month for every YouTube paycheck, so I gotta make that last. Gotta make sure I got enough food to eat. I can make my bills. I can meet my bills and everything. It's
And at one time, this guy was doing better, but nothing was set aside. There was no preparation. There was no, oh, what if things aren't going as well at one point later on? What should I do to make that not as rough of a situation? None of that. None of that. And this dude, I'm pretty sure I mentioned it in the last time I covered him, but he did not have a bank account for the longest time. He just used PayPal. And he got hacked, lost a bunch of money from that. Also, his ex, who was supposedly doing meth, would go into his PayPal, send money to herself, and then go in and delete the transactions from the part that he would look at. You know, I'm sure you could dig into it and see it somewhere, but she would delete the one that he would be likely to see. So, and she just did small enough amounts over time, and he didn't pay enough attention that he did not notice until their entire relationship blew up. And it's like, oh, wow, crazy that the guy with that approach to personal finances didn't set anything aside. And now that they're not making enough money, it's just completely screwed. And cutting back on groceries. I mean, that's pretty core. Usually people are, we got to cut back on fun stuff, or, you know, maybe we're not going to drink soda pop and ice cream and that sort of stuff. But it doesn't sound like that's what's going on here. Sounds like a little bit more.
last. Gotta make sure I got enough food to eat. I can make my bills. I can meet my bills and everything. It's rough, dude. It's rough. I've lived paycheck to paycheck the entire time I've done YouTube. There has never been a month in my entire YouTube career where I've been able to comfortably put aside a lot for savings. I hope you guys know that. That is the, like, even at 100k subs, this is the financial situation of progressive content creation. And I'm open about that. I don't lie about, like, I don't lie and say that I'm worse off than I am or I'm better off than I am for flexing. I'm just open with like, yeah,
Oh no, I believe you're not doing well, Sam. I don't think it would be as hard to not be doing so poorly as you make it out. I mean, this room that he is in is just so bizarre. It looks like a church basement or something like that.
I things are tight. I make enough, but it's never going to be enough to like at this rate to build things into a empire like I would like to do one day. And that's my
Build things into an empire? What? Okay, and also, if it's been paycheck to paycheck the entire time you've been a content creator, why not get a part-time job? 2 shifts a week, right? That would alleviate a lot of stress from you. And you'd be able to stream just as much or, maybe a tiny bit less, but you'd probably be able to stream just as much. I mean, I, he just says that as if it's sort of like a badge of honor. That, oh, this is how it's been the whole time. I'm always paycheck to paycheck. I'm one of the people. I'm one of the common folk. I haven't gone up to the elite status like Vosh and Hassan and Destiny. I'm just a lowly commoner like you guys still. Okay, well then get a part-time job while you do this. You haven't made any financial progress. You're 0% closer to buying a house now than you were years ago because you've been living paycheck to paycheck.
build things into a empire like I would like to do one day. And that's my hope is that one day I can make this into like an empire that goes beyond me. Like lots of creators
Well, I will say you do have the look of an emperor.
involved. Like it wouldn't just be like the Xander Hall channel. It'd be
Okay, I need him to stop twisting his beard hairs now, though. It's way too much. He won't stop with it. It's driving me nuts.
lots of creators involved. Like it wouldn't just be like the Xander Hall channel. It'd be like whatever group of creators could like create some sort of hub channel, whatever that would be called. I don't know what we would call that, but that's always been my dream. Like my dream has been to create
I mean, that's kind of what Keemstar's doing with LolCal Live. Maybe you could get in on one of his spin-offs.
a network
It wouldn't exactly be your empire, but you'd be a part of it at least.
of sorts, and for me to work with a bunch of other creators on that network. That's the goal. And unfortunately, people like Hassan will never do this. They'll never do this. So like my goal is not just to get big enough, but to have enough money to invest back into this that we can actually get that like somewhere close to Joe Rogan level reach, you know? Because like to have any real reach online requires massive reinvestment. And that's just something
Joe Rogan reach. I mean, who who has Joe Rogan reach besides Joe Rogan reach? Like that's just not happening, right? To make a living off of content creation is already absurdly low chances. I'm sorry, you're not going to be Joe Rogan. I don't understand how the heck Joe Rogan got to be to the size Joe Rogan is. I can understand why people like him, but it is insane how many people are willing to watch 3 hours of him talk to some open micer from his comedy club over and over and over again.
that man, it's
But even then, you're not going to be able to do that, Xander Hall. Nobody thinks you're even close to as entertaining as Joe Rogan sitting there and having the same conversation with some comedian nobody's heard of about the art of comedy.
tough. It's tough. It takes a lot. You gotta like as a progressive figure, I'm gonna have to be multi-millions by the time that's ever multi-million subs before that's ever a possibility. Like Hassan could do it, but he's a bitch, so he won't do it. Puss Puss, thank you for the 20 Australian dollars. I appreciate that. Says go buy yourself a steak. Dab, I appreciate that. Very kind of you. Thank you, thank you. And the $5 from Purpla Jax. Thank you for the $5 dues. Says here's half an egg. Thanks, Biden. True. Here's half a carton of eggs. But unironically. No, it's not Biden's fault. But yeah, groceries are expensive, to be fair. They are really expensive.
Okay, so now he's at, well, it was Australian dollars. I don't know. how close. I'll just pretend they're US. He's at like 30 bucks an hour and 22 minutes in. That's looking better. Still, depending on how much he gets here, he's gonna be looking at like 15 bucks an hour, but I'm sure it beats stocking shelves.
It's actually crazy that like I only experienced a couple years of life as an adult before the economy crashed. That's probably a big part of it, is that the economy crashed as my channel has grown. And so, to be fair, maybe if we hadn't gotten like 4 years of Trump economic policy and the terrible handling of COVID and the big economic crash, maybe it would be like way, way, way more comfortable. But
Tons and tons of people made their careers during COVID. Like that was a great time to be a content creator because everybody was watching content, way more of it. Like genuinely, a lot of people made their careers during that because there was a surge of people watching content. To say to say that's a disadvantage to be creating content at that time is insane. That's just total cope.
I don't know. My most of my adult life, Trump's horrible economy has been the state of things. So I don't really know much. I don't remember much of what things were like going to the grocery store and things not being overpriced. My whole adult life, for the most part, has been in a recession. So that's probably part of it too.
Yeah, I mean, people complain about the grocery prices a lot. I will say, if you stick to rice, beans, in season produce, and you do that sort of stuff, those prices, I have not seen that change all that much, really. That sort of stuff has remained pretty steady. I get you got if you got a family and stuff, yeah, maybe it's a little bit harder, but I think if people change their diet to a little bit more of that stuff, the produce, rice, beans, nuts, and you know, some meat or whatever, instead of so much stuff in sealed packages, I think that would make your grocery bill go down quite a bit.
We grew up in a recession, and we became adults in a recession. That's just how it is. We're the generation who didn't get to have expensive things as a kid because our parents were too broke from the 2008 recession. And then we're also the generation that doesn't get to have nice things because we're too broke from the 2019 recession. Awesome, dude. Let's go. That will never happen because you aren't peddling hate. Listen, I just hope that if I can work myself to the bone enough, it can happen. I have not had a relationship romantically since Lonnie because I have needed to dedicate so much time and energy to the channel just to get to 100K at the rate that we have. But I'm hoping.
It says work himself to the bone. What exactly does that entail? What are we looking at? So he's live now, 20 hours ago, 5 days ago, 10 days ago, 12, 13. Okay, must be for the holidays there. 2 weeks ago, three, 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 four, four. I mean, so he does what, maybe 3 streams a week, it looks like? Three, 4 streams a week. And he's putting out a lot of videos a day, but these are clips from his live stream. I mean, that cannot take that long. You barely have to edit these. You just need to know where the segments are, clip them, and then do the thumbnail. Yeah, these are just live stream clips. Eh, you're giving up relationships for this? I'm sorry, I don't believe it takes up so much time that you would have to give up relationships to do that.
Because, like, I would say, like, 80% of my life's effort and attention is on the channel. If I can maintain that for, like, a decade, I think we can reach that point.
Okay, but sure, surely a little bit of work-life balance would be better, no? I mean, maybe you decided after Lonnie or Lana, whatever her name was, you're done with relationships. I would assume that you want one again if you were in one before, fairly recently. Are you just giving that up, or why would you just continue to give 80 to 90% of your time to YouTube? I mean, why would you give 80 to 90% of your time to any one thing?
Like I think we can. I think if I continue to have my life like it has for the last 5 years entirely revolve around content creation for like, you know, for the next like 10 years, I think I can get to like a million subs or millions plus subs, and we can grow this into something huge. I think we can. Should California be voted to be independent when midterms happen? I don't know, I doubt it. Grindset, honestly motivational. Like, I mean, I mean that not even sarcastically. Yeah, dude. Like, I hope you guys know. For the last
It's like, yeah, dude, I am motivational. I really, you should aspire to be me because of how hard I grind and work as he streams.
5 years, I've eat, breathed, and shit YouTube and content creation. Um, so it takes a lot of dedication. Sometimes it's luck. I think I've probably had worse luck than most, considering I've seen a lot of people go.
Yeah, I'm kind of glad that I started doing the YouTube stuff just so I can know how nonsense it is when these people say that it takes all of this time, right? Especially people like Xander Hall. They're doing basically the same thing I am, same amount of work, right? Obviously, some people do put more time and effort into their stuff, but if this is the only thing that you're doing, this is your job, I don't understand how you could possibly be setting aside 8 hours a day, 5 hours a week, and that not be enough, that you would need to be spending 80 to 90% of your time on it. It just doesn't take that long, truly.
Go viral and get millions of subs off of like a few videos. I'd say that's like peak luck. I'd say I'm probably towards the lower end because, you know, it's taken.
What is this?
Sometimes it's luck. I think I've probably had worse luck than most, considering I've seen a lot of people go viral and get millions of subs off of like a few videos. I'd say that's like peak luck. I'd say I'm probably towards the lower end because, you know, it's taken thousands of videos uploaded to get to 100,000 or not, yeah, 100,000 subs, which is a pretty slow rate. Like I hit it and that's success, but it's a pretty slow rate. It's very clear that I got to put in like
I feel like he's had a pretty average experience, like pretty middle of the road. That's my impression. You know, I don't know why you're making it out like you've had to struggle more than pretty much everybody else. You've had the least luck, and your success is 99% hard work versus everybody else's. They're 70% hard work at best.
a lot more. Like it's gonna take a lot more videos to equal a given amount of gained like subs than the.
Oh, and yeah, like he's complaining. His rate, it just hasn't been that bad, right? Like I put out a lot of videos, and like that guy Lunar, I just did a video on this guy Lunar, and when a couple months ago, he had more subs than me. I have passed him in subs now. He's still uploading and stuff, but I've uploaded like 100 videos in the time that he's uploaded, I don't know, maybe 10, you know, and he's not that far behind me, right? But I'm not upset that, oh, this isn't the fastest growing channel ever. I'm pretty happy with how it's been doing. Like, what do you expect to just go viral off of this? City is just streaming and reacting. Like, it's such a tiny amount of people that get lucky and explode into millions doing that. You're just the 1% of the 1%, right? Most people have a pretty slow and steady grind. You know, you might get decent bigger bumps from time to time, but for the most part, it's a diagonal line. Nobody's shooting straight up.
The average channel, and that's fine. That's just the situation. I think that's more,
Oh, that's fine. He's so gracious. He's so gracious.
and that's fine. That's just the situation. I think that's more of a my channel thing. I think it's just sort of a RNG, bad rolls. My MCSMP is possibly needing to switch back to paper because Geyser is being shitty right now. Yeah, paper spigot is much more stable and established. I would recommend you use paper spigot for now. Geyser's new. You should wait probably a few months. I was born in 1975, and the United States economy has never been good for longer than a couple years. That's true. The economy just crashes sometimes, and it's not even the fault of the person in charge. That is, like, there are occasional, like, massive spikes in inflation and big economic crashes that happen globally that the president has no control over, and they just have to try and mitigate. And the American people will never understand that. We'll always see an
I mean, none of that matters anyway. Because all people think is who is president right now and is the economy doing good or bad? That means president is good or bad at the economy. Even though this is almost always the result of at least a year or more old policy. Like a lot of the time, the people who are getting most of the time, probably the people who are getting credit for good economies or whatever, they just kind of inherited it from other people. And I'm saying that both ways. Democrats and Republicans have both benefited from that uh, repeatedly. And people will just think, oh well, the economy. I was having a better time with the economy while that guy was the president, so he's good at the economy. And this person was in the White House when I was having a rough time, so they're bad at the economy. That's how pretty much everybody that I hear talk about it sees it.
inaccurate view of the economic policy of Dems and Republicans because the American people will never have the economic education necessary, or nor will they seek the knowledge, actively so, to find out, like, oh shit, the president isn't at fault for, like, an entire worldwide rise in inflation? Damn. Something about Americans literally forgetting how terrible Republican rule is after a Democrat term. It's just, Dems want change, dude. Dems want change. Or not Dems, like, the people want change. And so, like, every election they want change. Whether it be from the Dems or from the Republicans, they want change. Part of the American culture is no matter how good things are always bad. You must complain about everything, and you can never be happy with the status quo no matter how good things get. I know that sounds crazy, but that is part of the American, like, idea. Like, you can...
So, like, if you had a decently successful YouTube channel, you'd talk about how oppressed you were and how you have to struggle paycheck to paycheck when you have, like, the cushiest job that tons of people aspire to.
never be like, you know what? Government's doing a good job. Unless you're part of the cult of Trump, I guess.
You know what? I think I got a pretty good gig. No? None of that.
But for the most part, Americans, they always have to view things as being run poorly. That's my dad perfectly described. Yep, the government's the fault for everything. No reason to look deep into what's causing those problems, but yeah. Like, a Trump's presidency isn't even that long ago, but people vote like he wasn't going to do everything we said he was going to do. Well, we'll just have to see whether or not the American people were actually in favor of what Trump ran on. Because it's possible that the American people heard what... They heard us say, Trump's going to do this and that, and they said, yeah, good. A lot of Trump supporters now say, yeah, good. They've dropped the mask. So it's just a time to find out whether the American people voted for Trump because they were behind what he stood for. Like, they liked what he stood for. They're okay with it. We'll have to find out whether they thought he wasn't, and they just thought the Dems were being crazy, or if they knew he was...
I think it's pretty much just people feel like they're doing worse economically now than when Trump was in office. So they wanted to get rid of Biden and bring back Trump. I think that's the vast majority of what happened.
going to do that and voted for him anyway. Delancer, thank you for the $5 donation. I really appreciate that. Very kind of you. It says, from economists and financial experts, Trump tariffs or mass deportation alone will cause either a global recession to a global depression if both are done. Yep. I mean, it's just a matter of who gets the blame. How long will the impacts be delayed? There's so many factors you guys have to consider because the American people are vibes based. The American people could be paying twice as much for groceries right now, but if the vibes are better somehow, they'll vote for more of that.
Are you gonna get back into more whining about money, or is it just politics now?
Trump could even try to claim that the tariffs causing prices to rise is just companies were trying to retaliate against him for being hard on big businesses and pro-American. He would go full communist with his rhetoric again and be like, I'm just.
Okay, Trump's gonna go communist. I think we're done whining and moaning about money. But I appreciate you letting us in on those embarrassing details, Xander Hall, that there was really no reason to share. Also, I noticed for some reason it still only says $5 here. I always thought those bars were automated, but he says he has to update them and then he just forgets. I don't know. Very ungrateful, Xander Hall. I mean, that's just as bad, if not worse, than what that Nick A30 guy just got fake in trouble for. But oh, I was gonna say this earlier. I I can't believe I forgot this, but I was hanging out with Xander Hall's parents the other day. His parents and my parents are friends from like growing up as children, and so I see them from time to time, and they were saying that when Xander Hall's not around, that they now, as a nickname, after he started calling himself Xander Hall, they call him Unplander Hall because they never intended to have him, and he's an unplanned pregnancy. And they kind of resent him. They never wanted to have him. So I thought that's pretty sad and weird that you would just admit that about your child. Like, I kind of know them or whatever, but wow, it was weird and did make me feel a little bit bad for Xander Hall. Wow, even his parents don't want him. The donators don't want him. The viewers don't want him. And his parents don't want him.